Welcome everyone to today's session of the 21-day reset and reboot. My name is Donna Sadie, and I want to thank my dear friend Brenda, who's also my mentor, for giving me the time to spend with you guys today and share this information with you. Today we're going to be doing a drawing of a flower. I'll mention what that is after, but I'm going to give you a few minutes to just go on. You're going to need a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a blank paper. It can be lined if that's all you have. It doesn't have to necessarily be an art paper. I actually did the drawings on computer paper, so whatever you're going to need. And you could bring to the table some coloring tools, whether they're crayons or colored pencils or paint, whatever you're comfortable with. I may not go through the whole process of coloring the flower because I want you to spend time doing that after the session as well, but just so that you know that's kind of the game plan for what we're going to do. So some of you know me already and know that I work with the energy of flowers with my healing sessions, and I've been a landscaper for many years, and I've been doing this work now for a little over 10 years, and today I wanted to help you create an image of a flower to put on your altar or your refrigerator or somewhere as a reminder of the energy of that flower, and just so that when you see it, it reminds you of its energy and how it can help you and how it can help the planet. So I chose an iris today because the iris contains the energy of balance. And this is a picture of a bearded iris, and this is actually the flower that we're going to draw today. Not only does it hold the energy of balance, but it holds the energy of bringing heaven to earth. There are 3 petals that go up to the heavens and 3 petals that come down to the earth. And right in the center here is that place of divine balance. So in this time of our divine time out, we're going to have a little bit of fun, and we're going to draw this flower. And I want to give you a little more information about what I've learned about the energy of the iris. So let's just stop for a moment and think about balance and what that means to you. I think this divine time out for all of us is about not only recreating balance on the earth, but recreating balance in our own lives. I just want you to stop and maybe close your eyes down for a minute, take a deep breath, and just imagine what does balance mean to you, and how is your life either out of balance, or what does it look like when it actually is in balance? And so how are things a little bit different for you now? So some people are clearing out the old energy, they're cleaning their house, they're getting rid of things that no longer serve them. Some people are painting, they're redoing their interior space and outer spaces. So they're really refreshing and renewing the energy of that space. And so I just wanted you to, I'm going to take this little iris out here. This is actually not a bearded iris, this is a Dutch iris, but again, you see the 3 petals going up and the 3 petals that kind of blend down to earth. So when I get a message from the flower, I meditate on the flower, or I actually hold the flower in my hands and try to ask for information about what that flower represents and what it holds. And first I connect with the deva of the flower. Now you want to think of the devas as little angels or guardians of the plants. The deva holds the actual blueprint or imprint of what that flower pattern is, how it grows, how it comes to be an iris or a lily or a Gerber daisy or a rose. And then I also call him Pan. Pan is the god of the Greek god of nature. And I kind of see him as the go-between, sort of the communicator between human consciousness and the nature consciousness. So I actually, besides the information that I've gotten previous about balance, I sat with this flower before I did the session, and I asked it to give me some more information if there was anything else I needed to share with you about its energy. So I'm just going to read to you what I got during the meditation. So I carry within me the energy of balance, as you have acknowledged, but I also hold the energy of protection as well, protecting the earth and her inhabitants from disharmony and lower vibrational energies. The perfect balance, of course, will create heaven on earth, and that imprint is held within me as well. This is why so many are drawn to me, for they feel a sense of peace in my beauty and a remembering of times when there was true balance on this earth planet. So I thought that was interesting, because isn't that what we're trying to bring to the earth plane right now? A little bit of balance. And I also wanted to read to you from this book. This is Robert Reeves and Doreen Virtue, and it's called Flower Therapy. When I do my work, I tend to not read other people's information about the plant until after I've actually done my own meditating on it. And so I want to read to you what he says about the iris. So the energetic properties of the iris is detoxification, clearing out of old energy, and releasing addictions. And he also associates the flowers with certain archangels. And the associated archangels for this particular flower, the iris, is Archangel Michael. So I think that's kind of interesting because I see Archangel Michael as the angel of protection. So it kind of follows right along. It's amazing how we kind of all sort of get the same information. And also Archangel Raphael. And Archangel Raphael, of course, is the healing angel. So don't we need some healing right now on the planet? Not only to all of us during this crisis, but also to heal the waterways, to heal human beings at this time, to heal the air on the planet and the animals as well. So his healing description goes as this. The energy of iris is like a wonderful detox, cleansing your system of old emotions and negativity. You'll feel great after working with it. Your entire body will be recharged, and you'll beam with vitality. Iris can clear away even long-standing aches and pains, as well as any dependencies. Iris encourages a gentle approach that will comfort and support during your detoxification period. And his message from the iris is this. I will be guiding you to release all things that no longer serve you, such as foods, habits, and addictions. I will also help you release toxins from your body. You will feel refreshed, re-energized, and full of vitality. Notice how you feel better longer. It may start slow, but soon you'll realize that you're starting to do more things, even those that you haven't done for a very long time. And the last bit of information I wanted to share with you before we start our drawing is from this book called Flower Power. It's by Ian McIntyre. It's a wonderful book on healing remedies for the flowers, healing the body through herbalism, homeopathy, and aromatherapy, and flower essences. And I wanted to share some information that she writes about the iris. There are few flowers to match the iris in beauty or popularity. It was aptly named Linnaeus after Iris, Juno's messenger, who in Greek mythology descended from Olympus and appeared to mortals as a rainbow. She calls the iris the flower of the rainbow as well, mainly because it comes in so many different colors, which we'll talk about a little bit later. The Greek iris means eye of heaven, used in both the center of the eye and the rainbow. Iris's speed in flight is mirrored in the short flowering time of the flower, and her rainbow is reflected in the many different colors of irises. So, in other words, people in the ancient times believed that the iris would send messages up to heaven very quickly, and your messages would be answered. The iris also has been a symbol of royalty since early times, since the days of ancient Egypt. Iris flowers featured in the tomb paintings dating back more than 4,000 years in the Valley of the Kings, and appears as decorations on the Sphinx's brow. The shape of the iris is that of the scepter, symbol of power and majesty. Also, the iris has a close link with the history of France, and during the 12th century, Louis VII also used the iris as his emblem during the Crusades, and then the iris became known as the Fleur de Louis or the Fleur de Lis, which is now the actual emblem for that's on the flag of the iris of France. So that's mostly the information that I have for you about the flower essence of the flower iris. I'm sorry. Iris, with all of its rainbow colors and its special symbolic ability to carry messages between earth and heaven, is a remedy of creativity and inspiration for those who feel that they are weighted or heavy in the material world. It is those who feel its essence helps those who feel uninspired creatively and need to shift and are feeling blocked from change. So there you go. And so don't worry about the drawing part. I'm gonna take you step by step through drawing this flower. I'm gonna bring over a little easel right now and show you what we're gonna create. So this will be kind of our end result. And I did this in a really dark magic marker so that we can draw it step by step. Okay? So the first thing I want to have you do, get your paper ready and a pencil. And if you look right here, we're going to find almost the midpoint of the paper. Okay? Right about through here. And we're going to start with this petal. Okay? And so the first line is going to be kind of like a slope. We're just going to come down and around. And then we're going to come down and around, down below here. And we're going to put a little bit of ruffle in here. And then we're going to leave a little bit of space in between this part, basically about 1/4 inch. And then we're going to draw this line. We're going to come down and come up a little bit and then come down to meet our ruffle on the bottom. So basically, the other thing I wanted to share with you, this is basically 1/3 of the paper, 1/3 of the paper, and then 1/3 of the paper. So you have an idea of where we're at. Okay? Having fun yet? All right. So the second part is this section right in here. We're going to do the second petal of the lower part of the flower. And there's 2 ways to look at this. I kind of see this as a heart shape. Okay? It's a little bit wider than this petal. And in order to give it a little bit of dimension, we're going to start with the top part being a little bit narrower, and it's going to widen out because this is going to be in the forefront and we want it to stand out a little bit more. So we're going to start right over here and we're going to come across just a little bit, maybe about 1/4 inch. And then we're going to start to come down on this line right here. Okay? I'm going to stop right here because some people will be able to see this a little bit better if they actually look at this space in between. This is called negative space when you're doing drawing, and sometimes when you're looking at a picture and you want to recreate it, it's easier to see this negative space right in here when you're actually trying to create the line or the drawing. Okay? Just a little bit of information. So next we're going to come down right here and we're going to come around and down, and we're just going to make a couple of little ripply edges and come back up because this is a pretty ruffled flower, and we're going to come back up here and a little bit of ruffles and come back around. And the next part, we're going to actually do another kind of slope right here. It's going to come up and over and stop here, and then we're going to come in almost like a parenthesis and come around and meet with our lower part of the flower. Okay? You're doing a great job. And don't forget, you've got pencils, so if you don't like what you did, you can always erase it and do it over again. Okay. All right. So then we're going to create the third petal. And again, we're leaving a little bit of space in between here and a little bit of space on top here as well. So I'm going to start with this line right here, and we're going to do again, we're going to mimic this curve, and we're going to come around and stop. And then we're going to come farther down and out. So this is approximately, I'm going to say this is approximately 1.5 inches away from this other petal. And then we're going to follow this up and just make a few little curves. And you don't have to be perfect, you make your own little curves. And then we're going to come up and come around like this, and a couple more little jagged mountains. And then finish off right at the top right here. Okay? So that wasn't too hard, right? I'll give you a little bit of time just to try to go over it and make sure that everything's going okay. All right? And so then we're going to start with the top part of our flower. And actually on this page I'm going to do something a little bit radical. If you look at this, it's kind of, the 3 petals are kind of all contained kind of in a circular area. So if you come up here, let's see how we can do this. We're going to come down about 1/3 of the way of the top of the page. And I'm going to make a very light circle all the way around like that. Okay? And you can erase that afterwards. It's just going to help you to have some perspective as to how high you want to create that top petal in relationship to the lower part of the flower. Okay? All right. So, this one looks a little bit more scary. Don't be afraid. And some of you I know are really good artists, so for those of you that I know that really know how to do this quite well, please be patient. I know Deb and Miriam and Kathy, good friends of mine, you're really experienced at this, but we want everybody to be able to enjoy this and create this at this time. So I'm going to start from right on the top here, and we're going to come out and around and put a little ruffle in here, and then just come back down and around and come down to this other petal right in through here. Okay? And then we're going to go back up to the top over here. And again, this is a little bit wider and this is a little bit narrower because this petal actually curves in, and we can draw a line in this after so that we have that distinction. But for now, let's just follow this line around, and we're just going to make this a little bit wider out here, and then we're going to come in with that ruffle and come down and just around and just curve this right back down to the base right there. Okay? How'd you do? Ooh, technical difficulties. All right, so now we're going to go to the other side, and it might be easier for you to just draw this line first. So we're going to come from the top of this petal and come around with a little bit of a curve. Okay, we're going to come down and around because you want to make this opening and come all the way down to the base right there. You know, don't be scared of this other part because it looks a little bit more technical, but it really isn't. So we're just going to make, this is actually part of the back petal of the flower, but we're going to include it in with this shape right here so that it becomes part of the entire piece. So we're going to start at the top, and we're going to come around and just curve in a little bit, just kind of like you're on a curvy road. You're just driving your pencil down the highway, and then all of a sudden there's this nice downhill section, and we're going to curve in a little bit here, and we're going to come all the way down into the base where our downward petal is. Okay? Good job. do the center part right in here. So again, let's start from, we're going to start about midway in that centerpiece of this negative space right here. We're going to start right in the middle, kind of near this curve, and we're going to create like a parentheses right on top here, okay? And then about halfway in between this space and the bottom petal, we're just going to make a half circle, okay? And then we're going to just put, this isn't quite a straight line. We're gonna start at the top and make like a, here, I'm gonna do it like this. Make like a little curve like that, okay? This is gonna give us a little bit of depth, okay? So we're gonna start here and just come down like that, okay? All right. Now the next thing we're gonna do is put the beards in. This is called a bearded iris because of these fluffy little pollen areas on the plant. And so what I want you to think about when you do these is just little half moons, like kind of like this. Over here, you're going to go from this section of the petal down to about a third, 1/3. Here's 1/3, 1/3, and 3/3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So you're going to think of this shape, just a small, just like that. And you can just draw it like that if you want. Or you can take the time to put just like these little hairs up at the top and then come in, okay? And we'll go to this side over here. Again, you can do like this little kind of jagged, because it's actually tiny little fibers or little pieces of where the pollen and these little hairy things are on the plant, and then come around to this part. Again, that's almost 1/3 of your petal. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Now right here, this is a little bit different shape. In order to give it perspective, we start at the top like this, and it's almost just like that, okay? If you can imagine it like that. And you're gonna, so what happens is this makes this wider part right here, gives you some perspective like it's actually going back into the plant. So we'll start with a little bit of hairies up in here and come down and around. And we're just going to drag this down a little bit longer to a point. And then on the other side, we're going to do the exact same thing and come down and bring it down to a point. This isn't quite the exact same shape, but it's very similar. Okay? So look at how great you're doing already. All right. And then we're going to add a nice leaf in here. So we don't want to cut through the petal, so we're going to start by coming up right here to a point, and you can make this as tall or as short as you want. I kind of have it sort of an even to give even with the petals on top, and then you're going to come down on this line right to here, and then you're going to continue this line all the way down your page. Okay, and this can get a little bit wider as you come to the bottom. I didn't do a super good job there, and I'm actually off a little bit right here, so we're going to correct this, and you're going to come as if that is right behind that petal, and you're going to come down here like so. Okay, not too hard. That's one of the leaves, and if you choose to, you can always add another leaf on the other side. And then we're going to make the actual stem of the plant. Irises have a pretty good stalk on them to hold them up. And so I'm going to come from underneath this ruffly area, and I'm going to come down, and I'm making this a little bit wider on the top and then coming down into the leaf. And then from here, I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom right there. Okay? Not too bad. now just to give it a little more perspective, I drew in some of these lines. Now this is very linear. And we're going to go like right in through here. We're going to put a little line right here. And then a little line right there. And then this line is, again, it's going to be curved just slightly and coming down to give us a little more perspective. So now we're all finished. Great job, everybody. Don't turn it off. So I did do a little bit of, oh, where did it go? Oh, back here. So I did do some coloring in of the iris for you. So I took some colored pencils, and I'll just do a couple of little artsy things here just so I can show you how to color this in for yourself, okay? Now I talked about the colors before. You can make this any color you want. Irises come with dark purple on the bottom and yellow on top, white on top. They can be all yellow, all orange, all pink or peach, whatever it is that you'd like to do. So and even the bearded parts can be yellow, can be blue, can be orange, whatever. So this one I put a little bit of orange up on top, and then I just did some like little lines, because this is actually, you know, supposed to be fuzzy. Oops, I should have done that in blue, but anyway. So anywhere you have some curves or folds, like right here, the petal actually has folded up a little bit. You want to draw a little bit of darker color on either side of it. And then you leave this top part light. So that gives you the perspective of this being actually a little bit, you know, folded. A little bit darker up at the top. And I just did some very simple, like vein-like type of lines, as you can see in through here, just to make it more realistic. And then you can, it was a little bit harder to do, but this is actually folded out. So I drew this other line right in here. If you do this with your pencil, it will look more real. Because this is so dark with a magic marker, it was hard to make it look like it's folded over. So this part would be a little bit lighter in color. And underneath here, you would just darken this up a little bit so that this would stand out more. Okay? So that's just to give you an idea of how to actually color it in. And then of course you're going to have your green. For your leaf. And again, I'm not gonna do the whole thing because I want to do a little exercise with you now. Now that you've created your flower, I want you to take your picture, okay? And I want you to take it and put it to your heart. And I want you to thank the deva, the flower. We're gonna thank Pam. And we're going to send out that heart energy to your picture. And I want you to imagine now that you are in the center of this beautiful iris. And you can feel the energy of those 3 petals that are going up to heaven, surrounding you, protecting you, bringing you divine healing energy, and having the ability to listen to your prayers and your concerns. And then you can add your family members. And then I actually want you to see Mother Earth right in the center of that flower. Right in here. Okay? And we're going to send some heart energy and some healing energy of balance to the waterways, to all of the people, to all the wonderful service people that are helping those that are in need right now during this crisis. And we're going to give gratitude. Gratitude to Mother Earth for supporting us, gratitude for all of those beings that are helping at this time, gratitude to the animals, the air, the waterway. And as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, gratitude is the ultimate expression of receivership. I love that line because really when we open our hearts to gratitude and we're thankful, it's as if we've already received those things that we really want. So I want to thank you at this time. I hope you've enjoyed the session. I know I have, and be well.